So if you clicked on this video, I am going to assume that you love to decorate events. If you're thinking about starting an event decorating business, I am going to give you 3 things that you should do. And the third one is going to surprise you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Lanyelle Kuzar, and I am the owner of Yes Event Academy. I teach people just like you, people who love to DIY their events. I teach them how to start an event decorating business and book clients. So, you want to start an event decorating business? What's the first thing that you should do? I know you may be thinking, I need to go out and buy decorations. I need decorations to be able to decorate events for clients. Wrong. That is not the first thing that you should do. As a matter of fact, that is not even going to be on this list. I am not going to tell you to start going out and buying a bunch of decorations. If you do that, chances are you are going to spend a bunch of money on decorations that you'll never use. So, what is the first thing that you should do when you're thinking about starting an event decorating business? The first thing that you should do is your research. So, you should start researching your area to figure out what is going on in your area. You should start looking at other competition in your area. You should start visiting local venues, event spaces. Start talking to your neighbors. Start looking to see what are people doing in your area. Are people hiring people to decorate their event? So are they hiring professional decorators to come in with decorations? Are they going to event rental companies? Right? So it is going to be very important for you to do your research. The thing is, you may not find your customers in your area. You may have to travel outside of your area to find your customers. You may be in an area just like mine where people like to decorate their own events. They will go to event rental companies, but they like to decorate their own events. So if you're planning on starting an event decorating business, and you can't find customers in your area, then you have to make a plan for that. That's something that I work with my students. We're always talking about finding your target client. Who is your target client and where are they? So before you start buying decorations, before you put yourself out there to say, I'm going to start an event decorating business, the first thing that you should do is your research. And let me just say this before I move on to the second thing. Please do not get discouraged. Just because your target client is not in your area does not mean that you should not start your business, okay? So we'll talk about that in another video, what you should do if your customers are outside of your area, okay? But what is the second thing that you should do when you're thinking about starting an event decorating business? You should volunteer for events. Volunteer to help decorate events. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out there and start buying a whole bunch of decorations when you are volunteering. But if somebody in your family, if somebody at your church, if somebody at your job, if somebody in your community is having an event, you can volunteer to help. This is also a good research opportunity because while you're volunteering to help, you could talk to your family, you could talk to your friends, you could talk to your community, you could talk to people at your church and ask them, what are they willing to pay somebody else to do? Right? So when they're setting up for their event, you could ask them, if you had your way, like what would you pay somebody to come in here and help you do? You can also start to see what people are using at their events. That will help you when it comes to buying inventory for your business. Now, let me give you a tip because I really don't want you to volunteer for any event. I want you to volunteer for the bigger events, the more formal events. So if your child is having something at their school, right? Like if there's a dance or if there's, a prom or something like that, like volunteer for those events. If there's a community event, like a Halloween party or a Christmas party or something like that, volunteer for those type of events. If someone's having a milestone birthday, right? Like these are bigger events that people tend to spend more money on decorations. If anybody's having a wedding, that's always going to be a good volunteer event. Weddings are typically bigger events where people will invest in the look of the event. You don't really want to volunteer for an event where there's no decorations, right? So that's the thing. If you want to open an event decorating business, you will need experience with the event decorating side. So if somebody is just going to do a little decorations, let's say they're going to Dollar Tree and they're just going to throw a little bit of stuff on the table, that's not the experience that I want you to get. I want you to get experience with actually formally setting a table. I want you to get experience if you want to work with balloons, doing a balloon backdrop, helping out to do these decorations. Again, please do not feel pressured to have to buy all the decorations yourself, right? You could help whoever it is who's having the event, you could help them with setting up, but you certainly do not have to buy all the decorations. You can give them recommendations, but you certainly don't have to buy all the decorations. Let me just share my experience with that. So, when I was thinking about starting an event decorating business, I volunteered to help my family, my friends. I was going all over the place decorating events. I was always volunteering to help. I thought that I had to purchase all of the decorations for everybody in order for them, to let me help with their events. Like I would say, yeah, I'll buy all the decorations if you would just let me help. Eventually, that got to be expensive, right? And I had decorations all over my house because everybody had an event with a different theme. I couldn't reuse any of the decorations. So eventually I got to the point where I would tell my family and friends, like, yeah, you can pay for the decorations and I'll just help. That was totally fine, right? I felt like I had to volunteer the decorations in order for people to let me help them with the event. And you don't have to do all that. Then afterwards, I ended up with a whole bunch of decorations that just sat around my house. I never used those decorations again. Now, what's the third thing that you should do if you're thinking about starting an event decorating business? This one is going to surprise you. The third thing that you should do is to hire an event decorator. If you want to start an event decorating business, you will need to put yourself in the client's shoes and hire an event decorator. Why is that so important? Why should you spend that type of money, right? This is the reason why it's so important. As an event decorator, when you have an event decorating business, you will need to market to clients. You will need to sell your event decorating business to clients to convince them to book you. What's the easiest way for you to sell your services to clients? The easiest way for you to do that is to be able to identify with them. If you could speak directly to your client, if you could speak directly to their experiences, if you could speak to directly how they're feeling, they will be more willing to book you because they can connect with you. I see it so often that people who are starting an event decorating business, they struggle to book clients. They struggle to market to people. They struggle to sell their services. The reason why is because they've never been in the client's shoes. So they can't identify with the client. A lot of times when people start an event decorating business, they end up marketing to other DIYers. Why? Because that's their experience, right? If the only experience that you have is decorating your own event, When you're speaking from that perspective. 3 years ago, we had a birthday party for my mother. It was a big milestone for her. She turned 60 years old. She had never had a birthday party before, so we threw her a party. I told my family I was not doing everything on my own. I was not cooking, I was not baking, and I was going to hire someone to help with the decorations, at least to do the rentals. So that was the first time that I had put myself in a client's shoes. That was the first time that I had hired help for one of my events. I was so used to doing everything on my own. I was cooking and cleaning and setting up and doing this and doing that. I had never put myself in the client's shoes before. That experience was eye opening for me. It was eye opening for me. Literally, I was the client. So I understood like everything that the client was going through when it came to the payment process, when it came to the communication process, when it came to the setup process, the cleanup process. That was the most eye-opening experience that I have had. And really, that's like once I had that experience with my mom's birthday party, I started making changes to my business because I realized how I wanted to run my business based off of my experience that I had with other companies. So because I had that experience of putting myself in the client's shoes, now I could speak to exactly what they go through. I could speak to their feelings. I could speak to their emotions of hiring somebody and the reasons why you want to hire somebody, right? I'm able to put myself directly in my customer's shoes. That makes my marketing so much more effective. Whenever you can speak directly to somebody and they feel seen by you, they feel like, oh, that person gets me, they are more willing to book you and to pay you, right? Another reason why you want to hire an event decorator is so you can understand pricing. Understand pricing. So many people get this wrong when they start their business. So many people get pricing wrong. What always happens, I see this always happens. People do their research and they say, oh, this person is charging $1,000 for something. That's too much money. So I'm just going to decorate my own event. And then they decorate their own event. People come and they say, oh, this is nice. So then they say, oh, you know what? I'm going to open up my own business, right? And now they say, oh, well, $1,000 is too expensive. So I'm just going to charge $900. And so now they're charging $900. They have just undercut the other person. And now they're charging $900. But guess what? Here comes another new person in the industry. And they say, $900? That's too expensive. I don't want to pay that. So then they do it themselves. And everybody comes to their event and they say, oh, girl, you was killing it. So she says, all right, I'm going to start my own business. Now that person starts a business and they say, I'm going to charge $800. And the cycle just continues. And the price just keeps going down and down and down and down. That's the reason why I am recommending that you hire somebody. Because when you hire somebody and you know what, I paid $1,000. I paid $1,000 for this and it was well worth it. It was well worth it. So you know what? When I start my business, I'm going to charge $1,000 too. When you pay, when you have that money, right, in the game, when you pay, you realize the value of things. And therefore, you have that confidence when you start your business to charge the same exact amount as someone else. All right, so those are the 3 things that you should do if you are interested in starting an event decorating business. Do your research, volunteer, and then put yourself in the client's shoes by hiring an event decorator in your area. You can hire a balloon artist. You can hire someone for draping. You can hire a rental company. You want to hire someone who is going to help you do the decorations for your event. If you made it to the end of this video, you must be serious about starting an event decorating business. So I want to invite you to my academy. In my academy, I have a bunch of different classes, decorating classes and business classes to help you get your business started. If you are looking for ongoing support, then I would recommend signing up for my class bundle. That is going to give you access to my mentorship program where we meet on a weekly basis. I have weekly classes and monthly classes with my students to really help them build a firm foundation to their business. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.